So recently I went along on a Sunday for an in-person audition for an unpaid piece of theatre. I also taped for an unpaid short film, and I am someone who auditions professionally, sort of on the regular. I'm very blessed to be seen quite often and to be finding my own opportunities to audition for different things, open calls and stuff. So I thought it would be interesting, firstly, to take you along the process of an in-person audition and a self-tape, and also to explain what am I doing, why do I go for certain unpaid opportunities and not others, and what's my career strategy. Like, if you want to know, this is the vlog for you, so let's go. So I have an in-person audition in just over 2 hours, and that's just over 2 hours at the actual place, and I'm currently at my house. And I'm now looking at the sides, and I'm going to print them off because I think, well, that's just what I'm meant to do. And I said that I would print them off myself. I did one voluntary theatre thing when I was fresh out of sixth form, and it was like 6-7 months of rehearsals, and I did, to be fair, they were very flexible and very kind with me. I was just in the ensemble, and I took like a month and a half off with like various different work and like actual professional acting and TV stuff. I was very blessed to have that like quite quick after I left education, and I took time away because I actually wasn't in that many scenes, but I feel like some of them have really intense time commitments, and I think I'm auditioning for professional work and I want to be available for that, so I don't often do this. So for a while I took a step back from all of that because I also have a very like up and down sort of like day job, I guess. I've got a 0-hour contract, and it's often evening work, night shifts, all of that, weekends, so I haven't really been able to commit. However, now I feel like I do scratch nights, which is unpaid, and this is also not like your typical voluntary thing. It is a festival piece, so it's going to a festival, so I wouldn't get money for it, but like I'd be able to meet people who are also like working in the industry or like emerging professionals, and it just seems fun, and I know the people who I'd be working with, and I think it's less of a time commitment rehearsal wise. So I also do scratch nights and stuff because it's an opportunity to be able to network and be able to be on stage, because otherwise if you just wait for professional work you might be out of work for like 10 years, some people are, and then you're never in the theatre. But this is genuinely one of the best plays I've ever read, and I love it. And I really want to audition for it because I think it's so fun, and I'm going to print it off, and I'm going to print it off. I used to print like 2 pages to 1 A4, but then I went to a professional audition. That sounds really pretentious. I went to a professional audition. I don't know why I'm saying that, but like I went to an audition in person, and I was finding it a little bit harder when I was like looking up and then looking back at the script to find my place, because obviously there's a lot more on a page. So they handed me over their like printed big like 1 page per A4 sheet sides to help me be able to find the place a bit easier. Like, it's not a deal breaker. Like, I got very good feedback, and like that audition weirdly went well for me. So it wasn't a problem with me, like my potential to get the job, but it just interfered with the process. So I'm going to print it big enough that I can actually like read it and keep my place. So I've sent that to the printer, and I feel like this is such a fun script, and also it's a very active script as well. So like I have read the play before, which is why I know I really love it, and I think with this I want to just be able to play with the script. It's sort of a you can have the sides and we'll explore it kind of audition, I think. And I think what's so nice about this script, and what I really want to focus on, is that it feels very active. Like, this character is actively trying to be a bit annoying just for the fun of it, and like pushing the boundaries, and like the kind of like where you can play with that is really fun. So I don't want to try and pre-planned stuff. I just want to go with what feels real and like just to have a lot of fun with it, because then that will read as fun in the moment. This is very chill, like I know the people, and even if I don't get it, that's also fine. Like it's a cool project to even like explore for like 20 minutes, because it's such a fun script and I actually I love it so much, and it's very much my casting type, because that's what I think, like if I'm going to go for something that's unpaid, I want to think like, is it giving me a classical credit, is it like a two-hander where I get a sizable amount of stuff to do and it's good practice, is the team good to work with, and also is it my casting type, and like what other opportunities could I take from the fact that I'm doing this. Like I know that if you have like a short film out, or like you're doing a performance, it's an opportunity to be able to invite industry people to it, and since it's very much my casting type, that could be an opportunity for me to be able to invite casting directors and stuff, because I've heard that you can speak to these people if you have something to update them on. So this will be a something to update them on. So I feel like that's how I'm living my life a bit more now. And this is like not just a community project, but it's like a development sort of program thing. So I've done the audition, and I feel like whenever I do an in-person audition, I try to immediately leave it behind, because like I can't change anything that happened, and also these are people that I could potentially work with, if not on this, in the future, again probably. There's people like who I've worked with before, and like all of this is just a journey, and like what's right for this project and what they want specifically, like age-wise, looks-wise, vibes-wise, like it's all just quite chill. And also I wanted to talk about the fact that I was printing sides, because I was thinking about that, because some people will be like, you should be off book all the time for everything, but also the fact is that you could also get given something random and suddenly be like, can you read this scene? And that actually did happen, and that can happen, that you get given something. So you need to have the skill of both being able to be off book and be adaptable and able to be redirected, and also be able to just be handed a scene that you don't really know overly well, and just be able to bring that out. And obviously as well, they do have the context that people have just handed you a scene on the spot, so like it's fine, they're aware that you've suddenly got this text and you've not been like preparing it and like reading through it in advance of going into the room. So I had a nice time, I had a nice little afternoon. That's that. So now that the in-person audition is out of the way, over, we never have to think about that ever again, I thought I'd return to the self-tape, and I actually was going to film about the fact that I brought my self-tape to work, but it was like midnight by the time I got home, and I was like, I don't want to speak to a camera, and I don't have to, so I didn't. But it's in a plastic folder that I've taken with me to work, because I wanted to mention the fact that like it's actually really useful to find within whatever structure of life you have moments where you can work on self-tapes, which would otherwise just be like dead time, because otherwise they can quite easily take over your life. If there are moments where you can work on a script and also have a life, take advantage of that. So it's been really nice, because I work with a lot of actors, so they've been able to talk to me about their process, and some of them are less experienced actors than me, and some of them have many years of professional experience, so that's really interesting. Like we've talked about acting process, I've been questioned on my process to see if it's right and sufficient or not with regards to taping, which is really interesting. Like we talked a bit about like not thinking about how many words are on a page and not considering it in terms of that, but considering it in terms of like how many thoughts do I need to learn, and that's like transformed my process. I'm really like exploring that a lot more now. That's like really interesting to think of it more in terms of how many thoughts am I learning in this script, and that will vary, and that makes you less like focused on like words and like the rigidity of a script. But I have learned it a bit in work, but I feel like my brain's a bit fried at work and it's a bit hard to focus. So I'm gonna take the luxury of time with this one, because actually it's got a deadline that's really far away. And I feel like with this script, it's not like some of the recent tapes that I've had that are like a bit mad, a bit like really trying to have to like physically and emotionally get yourself into a state from the very beginning of the tape that's quite extreme. Like I feel like there are ways that I approach that, but this is very much more conversational, and I will learn it and trust my instincts when I do a read, rather than doing lots of preparation in advance to try and feel like I've just been like running or something, and like make it connect with my breath and my heart rate and my, like, it's less elevated, it's more conversational. So I never really like to build the tapes up too much in my head before I film them and make it like a big event, and then that sort of takes me into a sort of like state that I don't like to be in. Like I like to be relaxed before I do a tape, which is not very good for an audition vlog, but I've just filmed it and then I'm gonna like cut it together and like cut out the bits around the take, if you get what I mean. But I found something that was challenging about this sometimes is when there's like overlapping dialogue and like cutting each other off. And it's about finding that with a reader in a way that you'd also feel happy with, because it is an audition and you want it to feel like it's your best work. But it's quite an emotional one actually. Like I felt like I could have got tears, which is something that I feel like I would have mental block over if it was something that was intended in the script. But when you're feeling the emotion of it, sometimes you can get towards the verge of that without really like overthinking it too much. Like it wasn't in the script, I just was like it's just, you know, but like I think this is an unpaid one, but I think it's a multiple day shoot of quite like an established production company, and there might be money later on, is what it seems like. That's what the vibe is, like there might be money later on. But I think sometimes like when it's a good film and a good quality story and like it's multiple days, firstly it's fun and secondly I love multiple day shoots because like the first day you're really getting used to the team and the rhythm of how that works, and there's a lot going on. So like obviously you can get takes through and you have to get through scenes and stuff, but I just feel like I am even happier with the scenes that I film the following days on a project. Like I just feel like you just relax into it and like you learn how you work best with that team and that group of people. And I think obviously that's something that you need to be able to find as quick as possible, and I need to be good at doing that and finding that quickly with any team. But also it's just human nature that like it's going to be better often on the later days. So I feel like it would be good to show real footage. It's a really cool like concept, it's really interesting, and also I think it's in a beautiful area to film in. Like there's certain areas I really like filming out in nature actually. I've had some of the best memories of my life filming out in the fields. Like it's really nice, and there are some places that like people go film that are really nice, like Scotland, France, Wales, and they go away filming, and I know them like people who have done that, and it seems really nice. And this isn't in any of those places, but like it's similar sort of like natural vibe, and I just feel like it's unpaid, but it would be like a cute little holiday, you know what I mean? And you could like get other opportunities from it. So I feel like I'm just trying to say yes to a lot of things that could lead me to getting like nice footage, eventually TV credit, like that's what I'm working towards, and like meeting lots of people and just having great experiences, because like I do this career and I do acting because I like it. So if there's some nice projects and I'm able to participate, I will. So I feel like I should sort of conclude and bring this video to a close, and I have heard from the Sunday in-person audition and I didn't get the role, and I feel like I've been given a bit of advice surrounding this before. Like if you get recast or you don't get something, like it's been told to me that sometimes if you talk about it too much in a certain way, even if you're like really fine with it and you're like really trying to support the project and uplift the project, it could be interpreted as negativity and obsessiveness if you're hanging around a project too much that you're not a part of. But I think it's equally important to be honest about the audition experience and life of an actor. And I think I cannot say, obviously, because I'm not the casting panel, like why I didn't get this opportunity. But I think with new writing sometimes like there are elements where like I went to a reading of the play as well, and like I align with the character in certain aspects, like energy wise, comedy wise, like the style wise, but equally there are also other areas where like it's a new piece of writing, it's also being rewritten as well all the time. Like when you're developing a new piece of work to be brought to the theatre, it will be being changed and developed, and it was moving away from me age wise. There were certain elements of the script that didn't match me physically, like in the rewrites as well. There are elements of a role where you can align with it and elements where you don't, and it's about finding someone who looks right for that role. And these are people who I've worked with before. Like people can pick you for some things and not for other things because it's about the project. You have to trust the casting process, and that's something that I've really learned to do, is that the casting process is there to also protect you from roles that aren't right for you. So I realised that something I didn't say is that actually I've been speaking to loads of industry people recently who have been taking advantage of these unpaid theatre opportunities, which is why I've returned back to it. I've been inspired. So I think actually you can be surprised when you go to these sort of unpaid theatre, community theatre stuff. You can get out of work professionals who are returning back to the industry, and all sorts of different people, especially when it's a sort of development opportunity. I feel like there might have been quite a few different people who are also professionally involved as well, so I think sometimes the lines are a bit blurred, and a bit more blurred than that I thought they were. So I just thought I'd give you a sort of insight into my process really, but it's always changing and I'm always learning, so this isn't a concrete sort of thought and thing that will never change. But let's have a chat in the comments, and thank you so much to everyone for watching. Please consider subscribing because that really does help me grow this channel and like meet more people in the industry, and it's nice to have more of a community here, so please do subscribe, and thank you so much for watching. Bye!